The Fox and the Hound was released in 1981 and was directed by Ted Berman, Richard Rich, and Art Stevens, and is the 24th animated feature film by Walt Disney Studios. Based on the novel of the same name, The Fox and the Hound follows a fox named Todd and a hound named Copper, who vow to be best friends forever. But as Copper grows into a hunting dog, their unlikely friendship faces the ultimate test. I, like many of the animated Disney films that I have spoken about so far on this channel, am excited to finally talk about The Fox and the Hound, which is a very special film to me because I remember borrowing this from my cousin multiple times, and it is a film that has stuck with me to this day, and it seems to have had a really big effect on a lot of people. A lot of people have great admiration for this film, and this movie ends up being one of the bleakest and most somber Disney films that I have ever seen. And it honestly might end up being the saddest one that I've seen, especially after this rewatch, which really got me. There's just so much to love in The Fox and the Hound, and it reminds me of some of the things that I love in one of my absolute favorite Disney films, Bambi, which this film has a lot of comparisons to, and people have been talking about it to this day that this is anyway a pseudo sequel to Bambi, which I find very interesting. But The Fox and the Hound ends up being an extremely compelling film that in the end is a bit flawed, and I will be going into the things that I don't think necessarily work that hold this film back from absolute greatness. But don't be fooled, this is a fantastic film, and I absolutely adore it. Starting from the very beginning, you get this different feel than we've gotten from any of the other Disney films. There's silence. There's just nothing really flashy about what's presented on screen. We have the text over the screen. We have, the production logo. We have the actors. We have the directors. But we're shown scenes of the early morning mist inside the forest. And it's just like that for a couple of minutes. It really sets a mood that is really haunting. And then we are struck with a chase scene through the woods as a fox is being chased by an unknown hunter. And she eventually dies, leaving behind her little fox, who is our main character, Todd, who is taken in by an elderly lady that decides to raise him. And that opening is so good at setting up kind of the stakes of this story while also having a very good environmental message, which Bambi was very good at doing. And I think this is a continuation of that. But the film really starts going when the hunter that killed Todd's mom gets a new hound dog named Copper, and there is this friendship that builds between Todd and Copper. And this is where the movie just becomes instant magic. They are so likable, they are so fun to be around, and you get the real sense that despite the fact that we don't spend a lot of time with them as children together, you really get that sense of friendship and camaraderie, and they feel like, despite the fact that they come from different worlds and they haven't been around each other that long, they feel like best friends. And I just love the banter between them so much and the adventures that they get into. It's just a really laid back first half that is juxtaposed against the second half, which is depressing, very dark, and doesn't really go as far as I think it should in that second half. But the first half of this movie is so lighthearted, it's fun, it's what you expect in just some of the more lighthearted moments of Disney. I think these early scenes have some of the best camaraderie in a Disney film. It's really compelling. That it's not until Todd starts becoming a problem for the hunter and Copper and everybody basically involved that he has to be sent away. And that is one of the most heartbreaking scenes that I have ever seen. From the music that's playing to the inner monologue singing of the elderly woman who's been taking care of Todd, and that moment when she takes his collar off and puts him back into the woods, it's really heavy, and that scene is so perfectly done because in the end he is a fox. He really doesn't belong on a farm. He doesn't belong in that life. He needs to be among his own kind and among the animals of the wilderness. Because this is something that the film rides home on, and that is that these two characters, Todd and Copper, come from completely different worlds. Copper is a hunting dog. He is meant to go out, hunt foxes, hunt any game, and, bring them back for hides. And there's this really dark moment where Todd goes into the hunter's room with all of these skinned animals, and it's really haunting and compelling, and just moments like that really give me just chills watching that. I think the film kind of loses itself a little bit as we go towards the middle of it. Once Todd has gone into the woods, he starts, living off the fat of the land, and then meets a similar looking fox named Vixie, and their relationship is just not very well developed. I feel like there should have been a little bit more, and that's what I wish this film had, was just a little bit more of, say, the children side of these characters, so that we get, more of that camaraderie, more of that feeling of being friends, because we don't get a lot of it here. And I wish we developed more of the relationships in the second half as well. I think the film just ends up going by a bit too fast, which is strange because of how much time was spent in the very beginning of the film. You feel like you're getting this kind of slow burn story, but this has a breakneck pace to it, and it might be a little too much. But then as we continue on with the film, we see that Todd and Copper's relationship is continuously skewed. We see that it's challenged constantly, especially after the old hunting dog chief gets in an accident. And I think this is perhaps the biggest misstep of this movie. In the novel that this movie's based on, the character of Chief dies because of the actions of Todd. And in this film, he does not die. He is injured. And so I feel like the anger that Copper ends up having towards Todd and having more of a reason to go after him is more understandable if that character dies. But that doesn't end up happening, and so it feels like a ultimate missed opportunity. But what is not a missed opportunity at all is this film's ending, which completely just makes those moments that don't work for me just go with the wind. I forget about those moments that, I wish that there was more of this or more of that. It doesn't matter in the end, because this ending really, really gets you. Because, as I've been talking about, these characters, despite their friendship and despite their plea that they will be friends forever, they realize that that just can't happen. And they are just too different. They live different lives, and they have to live those lives. Copper has to live by the way his master, goes about his own life. And so that's really heartbreaking, because you see two characters that really care about each other, that are broken apart by the lives that they have to live. And so the ending of the film, where Copper, is with the hunter, and Todd goes back into the woods, watching over Copper and the farmland. It's such a beautiful image that reminds me a lot of the ending of Bambi. And it's extremely, extremely heartbreaking, and one of the best endings that I think they've ever done in a Disney film, personally. Now, one of my last big positives that I want to discuss is the voice cast. The voice cast in this is fantastic. Mickey Rooney as Todd is so fantastic. And Kurt Russell as Copper is also really great. And he really is able to kind of embody what a hound dog kind of is, or at least how you feel that personality is. Everybody is just really excellent in this film, and it's fun seeing them. It's honestly a really well acted film in animation, and there's just a lot of nuances in these performances. There's also fun moments too. I don't want to say that this movie is just completely sad all the time. There are moments of levity, especially with these two characters that are trying to capture this caterpillar throughout the entire movie. Those moments are fun too. Also, I will note on this movie does have songs in it, and I sadly cannot remember a single one of them. They are very, very forgettable, and it's not really a strong presence in the film. What is strong, though, are the characters and the themes and the music itself, not the songs. All of this blends together into a film that is very thematically rich and is one of the most compelling Disney films that I have ever seen. It's not perfect, but it does have perfect things in it, and it's why I absolutely adore this film. So anyway, guys, with all of that said, I'm going to give The Fox and the Hound an 8 out of 10. Well, guys, I want to thank you for watching this review. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and stay positive.